spell it.
Officer Sean Carter. First name is Sean. Last name is Carter.
And detective, officer?
Officer.
And then, officer, Kim, do you want to have him look at you?
Yep.
Okay.
Right here, just as soon as I. Okay.
And, Officer Carter's with our street crimes unit.
So go ahead and tell us, Officer Carter, what exactly, I guess, how significant are these two arrests?
This offense that they were arrested for is very significant. So the fact that we're able to make an arrest on this case is very significant for us. It is something that we do come across, and that's why we have partnered with organizations like Selah Freedom to provide assistance to the victims in these cases.
So tell us what happened.
So we received information and began an investigation in the month of July regarding one of the suspects, Mr. Johnson, that he was involved in the trafficking of females for prostitution. So we were able to establish an operation and make communication with him to set up him responding to an undisclosed location with a female for that intent to deliver her with the intent for prostitution to occur, as well as him providing illicit narcotics for her use during that prostitution event. When they arrived to the location, we came across the fact that there was a second person involved, which was Mr. Williams. So that's how we were able to link him to this crime as well.
So basically, tell us about the drug use. Why was there drugs there?
So the drugs were part of the plan as far as the prostitution event, that the narcotics would be used for her specifically, not for the detective involved in the case, with the intent of him being able to provide her those narcotics during the scheduled event of the prostitution.
How old was this girl?
The information on the victim, I believe we're withholding for the moment, so we're not disclosing any of that information at this time.
But they were using the drugs to get her to do it. Let's explain that.
Yeah, so the narcotics were specifically in place for her use while she conducted the act of prostitution.
And that was her payment? I mean, why would she do it just for the drugs?
Well, typically in these events with the crime of human trafficking, the victim in the case does not receive any compensation. And in this case, I guess you would consider it compensation, but she would be provided narcotics to continue exploiting her. But typically she does not receive anything else, and she is, for the most part, being controlled entirely by the people that are trafficking her.
Because of addiction?
The traffickers will use addiction to their benefit and to, like I said, to keep exploiting her on this prostitution crime.
Why is this important to crack down on this, and how big of a problem is it still here in the city?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, no, you're fine. How big of a problem is this still currently in the city of Sarasota?
Unfortunately, the reality of it is we do come across it. So like I said, that's why we have partnered with Selah Freedom. I don't have the exact numbers of the actual cases that we have investigated and made arrests on at this time, though.
Do you believe this was an isolated case? Do you think this was part of something much bigger? I know we had a very similar arrest in Hillsborough County yesterday.
With these individuals, it's hard to say. I would lean more towards an isolated event, but as we said, it's still an ongoing investigation, so more evidence could develop as we proceed.
Lieutenant, how long was the investigation before you finally decided to make the arrest?
Due to certain factors, like I said, we began the investigation in the month of July, so here we are at the end. So within a month's time, we were able to develop and effect an arrest on the case.
But it's pretty rare that you actually get the Johns, right? I mean, normally you're just arresting the hookers, but now...
Well, we do several operations which do result in some arrests for prostitution, but mainly our goal is to get those girls off of the street and relay them to Selah Freedom to give them assistance to get them out of that area of what they're doing and being involved in. So we also do John operations, which is where we target the males as well. So we do multiple operations to target everybody involved to try and get everything taken care of. And
With this victim, you guys basically rescued her. What's the next steps for her then?
so, like with all our other cases, we do have Selah Freedom on board, so they have reached out and spoken with this individual. Anything that they have as far as agreements or conversation between the two of them is their information. We don't really dig into that too much as of right now.
How hard is it to see that these girls are going through this, and some of them are being lured by these drugs?
I'm sorry?
How hard is it to know that these girls are doing this, and that some of them are being lured by the fact that they're getting their drugs supplied?
Yeah, it is difficult to think about and realize that it does happen. So we do work very hard on trying to get them off the streets, but in the meantime working on getting the traffickers or the males that are exploiting them, just to not only help them but get rid of the people that are actively involved in trafficking.
How do you think these Johns kind of play on them to attract them and get them to do these deeds?
As I believe he mentioned earlier, I think a lot of it does entail the addiction to narcotics. That's a big factor in all of this. So typically that is the route they take to lure them in, is by providing them narcotics to continue their efforts to exploit them.
Do you think these two men had other victims?
Through our investigation, we'll be able to determine any further girls that are involved, but at this time, we're not releasing anything else.
And how widespread do you think this network is here? Obviously, I'm sure this is much bigger than just these two guys and this one girl.
Like the network involving them, or just in the area of Sarasota? Just in the,
Both?
well, so for them, as I said, still ongoing, so we're still working on that. We'll be able to develop more and release more information at a later date. We are always seeking and looking into other potential subjects that might be doing the same crimes. So like I said, we do come across it every now and again. So we haven't had an investigation that's led to a wide-scale human trafficking operation, but most of what we've done so far has been very limited to like isolated individuals.
So basically, this guy was the pimp that you also got too, right? You got the Johns are the customers. You got the hooker, and this is the pimp. Is that what you did?
Yeah. So if like common knowledge, or not a common knowledge, common terms for this would be, yeah, like they would say a pimp, but we look at it more like as a human trafficking aspect, because it is much more serious of a crime than it sounds by using like common street language. So most of these girls are victims in the cases because they are being exploited by the use of narcotics. So that's our stance and how we view it. We're attempting to provide them assistance because they are the victims in the case itself, and target the traffickers and go after them diligently to try and get them out of the picture and off the streets.
But the rarity here is getting the pimp. And
yes, it is. It is much more difficult for these types of investigations to result in the arrest of the male that's trafficking the female.
But you being a street cop and seeing this all the time, what was your feeling actually getting the pimp?
Yeah, so with an investigation like this, it is very gratifying to be able to get the individual that is working these girls and exploiting them. So we're very happy the way this panned out, and that we were actually able to make an arrest, multiple arrests actually in this case, and at the same time be able to get her off the street and hopefully get her some assistance.
How long do you think Williams had been doing this?
We've only began, looking into this through the month of July. So as I said, we're going to continue looking and digging, and we'll be able to determine if we have anything further from their past, or if there are any other girls involved.
Do they have prior arrests?
Both of the individuals arrested do have prior arrests. I don't have the list of their previous offenses, though.
What was the money that was going to be paid?
So there was an exchange of U.S. currency. However, we're not disclosing the exact amount at this time.
Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.